Welcome everybody to Unsheathed Sword Reviews. I'm John.
I'm Vic.
And may your sword not chip and shatter. And that's particularly appropriate today because today we're talking about a Zombie Tools Diphos. What's a Diphos by Zombie Tools, Victor? And how does that become relevant to not chipping and shattering?
Well, that was a good intro, John. Okay, guys, so check it out. Zombie Tools is a company, and they make things very, very different from what we normally collect and what I imagine a lot of you probably connect. Like, they are kind of a niche within a niche market. So they take historical examples and then blow it up and overbuild the heck out of it. So what we have here is their Diphos model, which, as you can tell, is inspired by Greek leaf blades, these Diphos. And these things are tanks. Their whole, concept as a company is if you're on the run, zombies are coming at you, you need a beater, you need something that's going to be fast and sharp, but also take a beating. So their swords, axes, knives, all of those things, they are made to take a beating and to not break and have a very distinct aesthetic, which may or may not be your thing, but they're very recognizable as what they are. So that's what Zombie Tools is, and that's what we have in front of us.
And just to give you kind of an idea in case you've never seen a Diphos before, through the magic of editing, I will have one appear in my hand right here. So, this is the sword that this is modeled on. As you can see, there are a lot of similarities, but it's kind of like its bigger, roided out older brother.
It's like
in a lot of ways.
It got that sick pump.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. It's a completely different functioning sword. This is a one-handed sword, firmly a one-handed sword. That is not a one-handed sword.
Nice. Yeah, so that's what they were going for. And I think in the overall aesthetic, like the leaf shape of the blade and all that, and like the guard and the proportions, like it actually does kind of look like a Diphos. And I appreciate that. Just like I said, a much larger version of that. But Zombie Tools has a very distinct fit and finish. They do not go for historical accuracy. They're not trying to recreate something from history. John, what do you think of the Zombie Tools aesthetic?
Well, and I think that's the thing. I think you have to separate out their aesthetic, their intended aesthetic, from the actual fit and finish of the fit and finish elements of the blade. I don't love their aesthetic. It's not for me. I think it's good for what it is. I think that, they kind of have a design that they're going for, and I do think they nail it pretty well. I mean, it definitely does look like, somebody in a Mad Max movie could be running around with one of these on their back for when they run out of bullets. Like, that's definitely what it looks like. They have a coating on the blade. You can see it in the picture there, and we'll show you some close-ups. So it does have a coating on it, which number one would make it more rust resistant, which is helpful. So that's good fit and finish element for like a post-apocalyptic sword. And it definitely looks like it's got like tire leather wrapped around or tire rubber wrapped around the handle. I mean, it definitely has a post-apocalyptic look to it, which if that's your thing, it's well done. It just happens to not be my thing. I prefer historical authenticity in my fit and finish. What do you think, Vic?
Completely agree with everything you just said. This looks like something Denzel would whip out in Book of Eli, and
Absolutely,
so, and again, I think the whole point of this review, or the thing we're gonna hammer home, is if this is your aesthetic, if this is your thing, it does that thing very, very well. It does look like it's just been hastily assembled in a post-apocalyptic world. It does look like it's been beat to hell. And if that's what you want, then it looks great. And that said, though, in terms of like the fit, everything is rock solid. Like
that is absolutely true.
I've never seen more of a tank of a sword before. This would survive a nuclear bomb, But yeah, I have zero doubts this would hold up to anything, and that's the point of it. And it nails that. And again, I don't like the finish on the blade at all. I'm not a huge fan of the overall aesthetic, but if this is what you want, it does it very well.
Yeah, and I think to sort of dovetail with Victor's statement about the solidity of the construction, I think if you were to do destructive testing on this blade, you'd probably lose. Literally, I think you could probably beat on a car with this, and you would chip the blade and things like that, but it would hold together and it would still be useful after the end. I think.
Yeah, you would give up. I think is exactly what would happen.
I think so. Yeah, unless you're swinging it sideways on a cinder block to get it to break. That's pretty much the only thing I think you could do it to get it to break.
Yeah, in fact, we didn't do any crazy abusive testing with this because it is my friend's sword. Shout out to my friend Nick. Thank you so much for lending me your sword. We took great care of it, I promise. But Skallagrim has a pretty good video where he is beating one of these to hell. He even chops directly into another knife, and it survives just fine. It's kind of insane. I think he shot it too, if I'm not mistaken, because why not?
Exactly.
Link to that video if you haven't already seen it. But yeah, we just did simple backyard cutting. We just cut soft targets, water bottles. My girlfriend cut a pumpkin with it. So in terms of like the handling, John, what did you think?
Well, I think that when you sacrifice historical authenticity for being overbuilt, which is what this sword purposefully sets out to do, it does not attempt to be historically authentic. So the handling is not historically authentic at all. And that's not what they're going for. It is a tank, and it feels like a tank. And you're not going to riposte quickly. You're not going to do multiple quick cuts with it. It is a big, heavy, no distal taper whatsoever. It is quite literally 6.4 millimeters from the very beginning to the very end.
It is a sharpened bar.
It is a sharpened bar for sure. But, with that said, it's not going to break when you hit something, but it definitely does give it, you'll kind of see that in our cutting videos. It definitely, you're swinging something heavy for sure.
So yeah, 100% agree. It does not handle like its historic counterpart, nor is it trying to. It doesn't handle like any of the historical swords that we're used to handling. And again, it's not trying to do something and failing. It is exactly what it says it is.
Yep.
That said, though, sharp as hell.
Yes.
It has a very pronounced secondary bevel, but again, it's not trying to be pretty. It's so freaking sharp. Like you could pull out when you actually get form right and get good edge alignment, because it's actually kind of aided by the design of a Greek Diphos, the way that it bellies out toward the tip makes for a better cutting surface. And so like that actually helps the sword out a bit. And yeah, we were pulling off clean standing bottle cuts.
Absolutely.
Not easily, mind you. Like it's still a 3-pound sword, and it's a little awkward too, because like, again, not trying to be historical, but it has a relatively short blade at 25 inches. That would be a pretty short arming sword, or a relatively really long Greek Diphos. But then it has a two-handed grip. So those things do not go together. And if you try to wield this one-handed, you can. Really doesn't feel like you should, so you really should use it two hands. And at that point, the blade's so short, like I was misjudging distance fairly often. Like I had to get a lot closer.
Yeah, you really are right up in the mix if you're using two hands with it for sure. And it's 2 pounds and 14 ounces. It's damn near 3 pounds for those dimensions. I mean, you can compare it to some other swords we've reviewed recently. The rapier that we just reviewed is 48 inches overall, and it weighs just about 2 ounces more than this. So,
and historically, there were lots of single-handed arming swords that weighed that much, but with their profile and distal taper, they actually
feel it.
Yeah, you can't tell they weigh that much, and this is not that. But again, this isn't trying to be that. And I will say, once you actually figure out what this is in terms of how to move it, it's actually fun. Like I actually had a lot more fun with this than I thought.
I agree.
I have cut pumpkins with this, and it slices right through those things. Like I said, with the water bottles, it's surprisingly an effective cutter, mostly because of how sharp it is. So I think if this is the thing that you wanted, this is your aesthetic, then yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fun with this. And again, you could hit the stand all day, you could beat the crap out of it, and it's gonna be perfectly fine.
Yep. So with that said, so it's the fit and finish is either your thing or it isn't. It's very tight fit. Okay. Moving on to performance, it does what it says it's going to do quite well. So with those two things said, do you think it's worth the price point?
So, okay, this is going to be, I need to make this very clear distinction. This costs about $750. We'll put the price up. So this is an over $700 sword. If this is your thing, if you're a Zombie Tools fan, if this is your aesthetic, if you want a post-apocalyptic beater, then yeah, I think you would be very happy with it. Would I spend that money on it? Absolutely not. I would not spend $700 on this, because I prefer historical swords, and there are a lot of great options out there for $700 and way cheaper than that. So for me, no, I wouldn't buy it. If you want this type of sword, I think you'd be happy with it though. John?
I agree with everything you just said. I would not spend that money on this sword. However, having used other Zombie Tools products, this is my favorite one that I've played with in terms of it coming anywhere near resembling the functionality of a real sword.
Yeah.
Some of their other stuff I've used is unwieldy and wants to yank your shoulder out. This feels okay. It's usable. Like I could definitely see using it. I definitely think it's not going to break if you hit a zombie wearing a motorcycle helmet, for example. You don't have to worry about those things. But yeah, I wouldn't spend it. And like when Victor and I were talking about it when we first played with it, I was like, you know what, this is not bad. I was like, I kind of like this. This isn't bad. And I was like, I'd get one of these. And Victor's like, well, how much do you think it costs? And I was like, I don't know, $400, $350. And he's like, yeah, 7+. I was like, like I can get that's bordering on high-end sword money.
Again, I think the point we're hammering home. If this is your thing, you're gonna love it. If it's not your thing, don't buy it.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, there's a place for it.
Yes.
There's a place for it.
Zombie tools are insanely popular.
Yeah,
there are fan pages directed just to them. And again, I think like in the world where this is meant to be used, if a zombie came at you, I bet you would cut completely through its skull, be able to recover and keep running. Also, all zombie tools, swords, axes, knives, they all come with Kindex. Is that how you say
Kayaks,
it?
yeah.
Kayaks sheets. And this is actually pretty nice, and I think matches the aesthetic of the sword really well. Has a buckle, so that way it wouldn't come out or fall, because it actually like locks in pretty decently well. Like you have to give it a good shake to get it to move, but with the buckle on it here, it's not going anywhere. And like little touches, like having the little Zombie Tools logo on the strap here, Zombie Tools on the pommel there, like it's well thought out, and I think matches the sword completely. So
yeah, I agree with that too. I do like the sheath a lot. Again, for what it's going for, it knocks it out of the park. That's just not something that I find to be terribly valuable for myself. But if you like that, I think it's great.
Yep, strongly agree.
Yep.
All right, anything else?
No, it's you really don't like the coating on the blade. I in general don't like coated blades either on knives or on swords, but I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for this one. I think it looks pretty good. So to me, that's like a nice little touch. It's like you can put this up on the wall and it's like, wow, yeah, that looks really cool.
Nice. Yeah. Again, aesthetic. You like it or you don't, right?
Exactly. So, yeah, for sure.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us on this episode of Unsheathed Sword Reviews. If you've enjoyed, give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell so you get notifications when we post new content. We have lots of videos coming out. Just posted a review of the LK Chen Saxony German Rapier. Check that out. That was a really fun and unique sword. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.
Peace.